A lot of people take offense in the objection, or they take the objection as a rejection because they take it personal, and they don't know that the objection or that they turn into rejection just triggers something unresolved from them. So in a way, Celia, I'm so impressed because you are giving us the X-ray of the soul behind sales.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yes.
so powerful, my ally.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. And it's from that experience of just connecting with so many people, um and when it comes to high end selling, when you're selling something for thousands of dollars, there's woundedness that will come up as well, right? Like past experiences, past things that didn't work out, other areas of their life that they may be dealing with or challenged by will get lumped into that decision to invest. And so there's a power of being able to have a conversation with somebody and, without bias, help them to unpack all of those things. And I find that if somebody's dealing with one or two little minor things, quote unquote objections, you can usually help them to clear that. But if they are dealing with 3, 4, 5 things that are just piled on, that person is probably not ready to take the next step into the program. So this is for anybody who's like an intuitive and does a lot of selling, just really understanding the energetics of where a person is and like their beliefs and their mindset that go into making that investment choice for themselves.
Wow. Wow. This is so deep. I think this is one of the deepest conversations, and I love that we are talking about this. So, Celia, tell people, that are going to benefit from this wisdom of yours. Why do people need to do the work, etc., and be able to sell? Why do we want to sell? I always say we sell to serve, not only serve to sell, because there's a little energetic difference, right? When I serve to sell, I have a nitty gritty pattern in me. I'm desperate. I have to sell, so I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to sacrifice myself, my health, a little bit of what you were sharing, right? I'm going to become needy and greedy in a market. I'm going to probably let go of some core values just to get that sale done. But instead, when I actually sell to serve, when my end goal is the problem solution that I'm going to offer to my client, the result, reaching the result that my client needs, it's so much easier to sell. But what I face, in the market that I serve, which is the leadership, spiritual leadership communities, a lot, not that much anymore. They feel like, no, I can't sell because it's kind of like it's just a bias. So why do people need to sell their magic, and what are the ethics of selling for the good?
Mm-hmm. Well, so, I mean, there's the very basic, obvious that your business, actually, I'll get to the spiritual because I learned this from one of an Akashic Records teacher I trained with. And she says that a business does not become an energetic entity until it receives a dollar, until it receives a paying customer. So essentially, we could build on that and say that for every dollar sold and for the amount of money that a business receives, its energetic presence grows. And so its energetic presence goes, therefore its impact grows, right? So I would say at the spiritual level, that's what's happening. And then at what I was going to start with, which is the, obvious level, is in order for a business to be a business, there needs to be an exchange of goods sold. So anybody that's dealing with that attachment to selling, there's so many people that will unpack it, masculine or feminine, or, I think it comes back to also those stories that people carry around, and that there's probably some deep mindset work that needs to be done, and some beliefs work that needs to be done around that, to feel okay with selling. Because if it's not for you and you're an entrepreneur, that, or you've chosen to be an entrepreneur, this may not be your path, because especially when you're first starting out, many of us start off as, the quote unquote solopreneur,
Yes.
and your sales, your marketing, your customer fulfillment, your your operations, your everything. And then once you start to scale, then you can start to look at outsourcing sales. But I would say that would be my suggestion is,
Wow.
doing that deep inner work to allow sales and allow receiving and making peace with money and seeing it, how you
Yes.
need to see it to feel good about it.
I love this. This is such a just such good counsel for anyone. I always believe that everybody, and I've heard this from a couple of people too, that everybody's in sales, right? And even the people that say I don't want to sell, or they're selling the story, right? They're selling their narrative. They're selling their beliefs to others. That some people may buy and believe, yes, you're right. Money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. People are the root of evil with their choices, right? So there is such incredible wisdom that you share. It's a mindset thing that they got to go through. Is doing the work. Is maybe this is not a path for them. That will help them reassess where they're going, right? Like
Right.
all that has been happening in your life, and being at peace to where they are at and going into their next level of what they choose to be. So, Celia, I'm curious. What are some books? And I know that Winning and Relentless from Tim Grover probably are in there. But what are some books, or what are some thought schools, mindset schools, or spiritual school books, in a way, books or trainings that have been pivotal in your life, or that has helped you in your own evolution, advance and keep your mission in motion for supporting the people that you do?
Mm-hmm. So with sales, like for sales books, I studied some of the basics. I mean, in courses too, like I've taken Grant Cardone courses. I've read some of Jed Blount's books. But honestly, for me, I would usually learn some of their techniques and just go apply them and just go have experience with them. I will say that an amazing series that I've been reading that is more about the spiritual side of money and receiving. And before I say the name of the book, I wanted to bring this up, because earlier you were asking me about ethics, and we were kind of getting into like people having a block around sales. And I wanted to
Yes.
make this point on the podcast with you, is that the first thing to remember is that people aren't the source of our money, that God is our source. And
Oh,
so,
boom, boom.
boom,
I
right?
just wanna,
Mic drop.
that's it. That hits the core of my values and my, yes. Thank you.
Yes, God
Wow.
is our source, and that is what I've been
Mm.
focusing on. I've been drawing out some visuals and things like that, and it's just like that. So leading it, I wanted to bring that up before I introduce the book. So I came across this series of books by a woman named Catherine Ponder. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she was a minister in the Unity Church, but she has a book. It's the Millionaires of the Bible series. And so she breaks down, she has the first book is The Millionaires of Genesis. And then she goes into, there's the millionaire Joshua, the millionaire from Nazareth, and the millionaire Moses. And that's not the order of books. But she really does a beautiful picture of explaining how God, or divine substance, is
Mm.
the source of all wealth. And then she uses the names of the people in the Bible and
Yes.
their stories and the cities that they lived in to tell the stories of how they overcame spiritual and physical trials and created wealth. And basically that the millionaires of the Bible had far more wealth and opulence than what we could ever see for ourselves, or what we could have in this lifetime. Like for our millionaires, billionaires, like their wealth was even so much greater. So for me, those books have really shifted I'm not attached too selling as far as like, I have to
Yes.
make this sale, right? I have to make this sale to
Yes.
get this client. It's really created the detachment because I'm not attached to how money comes to me,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I experienced the same. I experienced the same. Yes.
Yes, there's a freedom with that, and I think that it's like if
Yes.
we when learns to give that to themselves, that freedom and that spiritual freedom and that money freedom, that money just comes and
Mm.
it just shows up. And so of course, like if you believe that God is the source of all wealth and God is the source of all, then working with that belief will help us on the physical and cellular level to be able to shift our thoughts and behaviors. And of course, we have to take action because it's our human action that helps with that receiving process.
Wow, Celia, after this spiritual bomb, wow, I'm going to purchase these books, but obviously, it's important what you just said. You implement, you
Yes.
take action upon them. This is so important because anytime that anybody takes a course, hires a mentor, reads a book, if they have revelation without application, I always say that revelation without application becomes a future in despair. So we got to do what Celia is recommending to us all. I want to, everyone that is listening, and I know that most of the people that are our listeners so far are in Latin American countries of people that also speak English. And I want to recommend for you to invite these little, it's not little, it's very powerful, but these shifts in consciousness, shifts in mindset, implement and apply what Celia is saying. You can listen to the podcast, pause, write down. She shared with us a system. She shared with us the source of all money. I'm just gonna leave it there. You gotta listen. You got to apply. You got to implement. And this is so potent, my ally. So how can people, corporations, because I have a lot of corporations listen to our podcast, how can people work with you? Where do they reach you? Do you have a website? And we'll put obviously everything for people here to be able to connect with you.
Yes. So I have a website. It is my full name, CeliaFayeMeisel.com. And then you can email me. It's Celia at CeliaFayeMeisel.com to reach me directly. And there's also a contact form on my website. So those are ways. I have Instagram, CeliaFaye.Meisel. And then I have a new brand that I'm putting energy into, which is called Multifaceted Results.
Ooh.
And that's sort of the evolution of Celia, where I'm putting together my full experience, where I'm going to have my sound healings available. I'm going to have a sales course, and just basically kind of taking all of my different facets and putting them out there for people to come and get what they need, because I have such a depth of experience. So I've started Multifaceted Results Coach on Instagram as a new page. So that's where you can find me.
Oh, I love that, Celia. I was about to ask you, so what's next? What's the evolution of Celia and you, like a good psychic would?
Yes.
You responded long before. And I love the multifaceted. You know what I believe? There was this time where, and I understand too, where people used to say, do only one thing. And then one of our mentors, Shari Wang, came along and said, do everything, But the multifaceted, we're multidimensional beings living this individuated experience of a human. And I love that you evolve, have done the work so much, you have depth of experience. And under the umbrella of who you are, you offer all these facets of your soul, facets of expertise to help others grow in whatever path they choose. So I love this, my ally. I love that you were here. And just to close the podcast, it's a tradition that we have, a ritual. We'll ask you for a blessing. If you give us a blessing, the companies that are listening, the individuals that are listening, the moms, the dads, the entrepreneurs, and we have a lot of young people listening to this podcast. what would Celia bless, or what would be your blessing for them listening today?
So my blessing for you would first start with an image.